It's time for Saturday Sports Scoreboard, hosted by David Heath on Radio Italia Uno 87.6. If sport's your passion, then you're in the right place. Scores from across the globe, the country and locally. Interviews, comment, your calls and plenty of fun. So let's introduce the host of our show. Here's Heathy.
Welcome back to Saturday Afternoon Sports Scoreboard on Radio Italia Uno. I'm David Heath and co-hosting this afternoon, of course, Mark Asen. And we're doing the show from my lounge room. I haven't been able to get to the show because of my foot injury, so the show has come to me. And if you'd like to watch the action from my lounge room, you can have a look at the Radio Italia Uno Facebook page because we're Facebooking live.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point.
And basically my lounge room, which normally accommodates one person, is currently, and I'm big enough, is currently accommodating 5 people, including 2 absolute fair dinkum legends.
Will you do the introduction? Well,
we've already introduced Charlie Walsh, so Charlie's still here, and he's joined on the couch now by the fabulous Wayne Phillips, and indeed Michael Aisha's here too, but he's popped across the road to the corner store cafe to get a coffee.
There was no room.
But welcome officially, Wayne.
Absolute pleasure
Thank
to
you.
be here. The first time I've been here, and pretty sure it'll be the...
Now
You were just walking past, and you sort of built backwards into the room.
He recognised. I reckon it's Heathy and Mark Aiston who came in.
How long since you've seen Charlie?
Some time. No, so,
Is that awkward? You guys sitting so
we were coaches together down at the AIS. And that's where I learnt all of my coaching from this
From
guy
Wayne
here.
Phillips.
Yes. And how can a coach be so happy?
and he moved on to do other things, Charlie.
Well, you went on to coach. You went on to coach the Redbacks.
Yes,
indeed,
indeed.
didn't you?
Yes, yeah, at the Redbacks.
I'll never forget. I know you hate me telling this story. I'll never forget the day. I hope you don't mind me saying this. When you were sacked as the Redbacks coach.
Oh, not reappointed would be.
That's right. Yeah. I think that's what it was the funniest seriously, it was the funniest press conference. We all go, the media all go to these press conferences sort of with their shoulders down, knowing we've got a good story, but also we know everyone and we're feeling sorry for them. And he joked all the way through. I swear, you didn't you?
But look,
you got a great attitude.
But look, I've had the pleasure of working with Wayne at 5AA.
Yes, indeed.
And he's that sort of character.
Yeah.
Always got a smile on his face. Always
You're
got
allowed to.
got a wit. Exactly. I mean, you go mad if you don't enjoy life.
Well, my daughter Bridget, who no longer is at West Adelaide Footy Club, said to me 12 months ago, she was talking about something and I needed to host a function, and she said, I think it's either used you to host a function or you've been there or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
And without me even saying that I knew Wayne, she said, he's the funniest guy in the world. But humour's so important. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's been
Charlie.
Yeah.
You're now sitting next to an elite athlete on your right-hand side, not so much your left-hand side, but on your right-hand side. The question I was thinking about last night, knowing that you were coming to my lounge room, was that are elite athletes? And by that I mean, no matter what sport you might be involved with, are they pretty much the same sort of individual? Or depending on the sport, do you really have to change your coaching game?
Ultimately, you have to have the physiology to satisfy the game demands. That's the first thing. So this guy here has massive eyeball.
Aren't you glad you came today?
Yeah. Something that I could never do. But deep down within you, you've got to be able to have the psychology to satisfy that. Ultimately, it's the psychology to satisfy the demand. And that means a lot of self-challenge, that when the going's tough, you've still got to manage. Pressure is huge, you still have to manage, and you get that self-challenge by actually taking on things you may not necessarily think you can achieve, but you take it on.
Yeah.
And from there you build and build and build.
What percentage would you give to, when you were coaching the elite cyclists, the gold medal winning cyclists, what percentage of your work as a coach would you attribute to technique on the bike and to the psychology?
Psychology is the ultimate in performance. So I could have somebody slightly deficient in technique, but you can make it up a lot by the strength of your character. And I had a guy that, for mountain climbing, he wasn't quick, but he ran second in the mountain stage with Russians who were using performance enhancing drugs, and then they've got just a massive fierce commitment, and he actually came to me, got beaten by half a wheel by the rest of the field was left behind.
Yeah.
And he apologised for not winning.
He apologised for not
He
winning.
actually,
Is that good or bad? What do you say?
I think it was his disappointment, probably not winning,
Right.
but also the fact that you put a lot in to these lads, you can take them wherever you can, but it was just his attitude.
Yeah.
That he didn't, I mean, he wanted to win. Since we're a world champion and everything that you can put there,
Yep.
really, but ultimately, and one would say, to me, I look at the chapels, I look at listen to Greg Chappell the other week, you listen to them and the little things that will come out in there. Steve Waugh, those people, they have this real strength, quality of wanting to fiercely be the best.
Yeah.
So when you would have a failure, how would you handle that failure? Because that's another thing, isn't it, Charlie? Handling adversity. You know, when you make a mistake or when you don't do as well, it's bouncing back. How did you handle that?
I never had to have that experience.
Okay. Right. Next
It's a
question.
learning experience.
Next question. And why did I know that you were going to say that?
It was the umpire's fault, wasn't it? Yeah,
I could have answered that question.
let me rephrase the question, because you're probably right. You probably didn't ever have a failure. When you were coaching the Redbacks for that short period of time, when you're coaching the Redbacks and a young lad had a failure, seriously, how did you? What was your approach to him?
And exactly as Charlie was saying, I mean, you know, knowing what his best capabilities were was to make sure that he was understanding and, you know, making sure things weren't clouding that ability to make sure that that positive thinking was there to get the job done as he did. And, you know, they come up with various things that, go back to those basics. You know when you're playing well that you see it, you watch it closer, you get it under your eye, and that's where you need to be playing it. Just at the minute you look to be playing out here, away from. Yeah, okay, good point. Thanks for that. Yeah, let's get.
So they had to be pointed out.
Oh yeah. You just need to just make them aware of. Well, this is something that I've noticed. Perhaps it's something that you should be aware of. Yeah. So yeah, quite simple.
And as an extension of that question, what was your relationship like with Andrew McLeod? Because you did a lot of work with him one-on-one. And what sort of an athlete was he mentally and psychologically?
Oh, Andrew was exceptional. In a whole, what really took me, I come from a different sport, but they just took me on. And if you explain to them what you were trying to do, what the outcomes that you were chasing, then they just applied them. You can go through them, and I can go through them all. Goodwin and McLeod and Rashudo and those are kids that really just take it on, because you've got to create that trust. And so Craigie was able to create trust about me, and they would take it on. And then you explain what you want, you talk to them while they're doing it, and they just, I've had some kids that could have been, I reckon, world champions in cycling.
Yeah.
Playing AFL football, because they are so strong. And Burlow, Chrissy Knights, different events, but things like that, that people that, you know, they have those qualities and they trust you, and their whole challenge is about taking themselves where it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that's the crucial word Charlie's mentioned, that trust. So that they have to have the trust in you that when you do say something, when you do put something forward to them, that it is in the right, it has merit, because that's exactly why you're there in that position.
And it has credibility. It has credibility, because it's coming from a place of strength, because you're experienced.
They make the decision.
Good point.
Correct. And apply.
They make
You've got to apply it.
Did you get a kick out of that? The period of time you were involved with the Crows?
I immensely enjoyed the time I was with the Crows, because it's a very different environment. You're going into an environment where people understand team, about working together, and we're reliant on it. Now, we did have segments of that in cycling, where you have that team, but there are also individuals that the only person that exists on this planet is them. And that's, I'm not comfortable with that type of people, because the team environment was just so refreshing to me.
Because you were more the one-on-one, weren't you, with the cycle?
Yeah, it is hard, but that's not to say that it's not one-on-one in football.
No.
Ultimately, as an individual.
Oh, well, I suppose it is one-on-one from that point of view, isn't it?
They understand that they've got to perform.
Yeah.
But it's the acceptance of the fact that it's team, we're in this together, and we'll work together on this. Whereas in outside you can get some individuals, they just think they know it all.
Yeah. Do you keep your eye on cycling to this day? Did you watch the cycling at the Olympics in Tokyo?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. With any, are you a comfortable cycling watcher, or do you sit on your couch watching the images coming in from Tokyo and you're sort of getting yourself angry or excited or pumped up because, you know, somebody that you might have even had something to do with was on the track?
And that's long gone.
Oh, that's long gone. Right.
Yeah, that's long gone.
Hey, Charlie, before you go, just very quickly, Neil Craig, because you mentored, you don't mind me saying, you mentored Neil, didn't you, for 2 or 3 years?
He'll tell you the other way around.
Can you just give us just a brief overview as to Neil Craig's makeup mentally? Why he's so successful at what he does?
Neil is a pursuer of excellence.
Yeah.
He has, to me, I thought he was an exceptional coach. Ultimately, I'm not going to win a world championship with anybody that's inadequate. Yet the talent has to be there. And I think Craigie was probably a little bit unlucky in a team game. You don't need 1 or 2 really good ones, you need a block of them that will work together. And I think Craigie was a little bit unfortunate in times what happened there, but he was an exceptionally good coach, exceptionally good. I've had some of the lads that have played with other coaches have come back and said, he's the best I've had.
Wow. Is he too intense?
No.
You don't think?
No. There used to be a lot of fun. There's times when you as a coach, you know you're giving this hidden communication.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, it's got to be able to, it can't be sloppy. It's got to be, I think I was quite intense. In my expectation of you or you was high. I didn't push it, but it's coming through.
Yeah.
And needs to.
Did you enjoy coaching? The reason I ask that is because I can remember Graham Corns once saying that you know he obviously coached the Crows and coached the Bays to a couple of premierships and coached South, I think, when he first switched to coaching. But he said that he didn't necessarily enjoy it while he was doing it.
Oh, I think it's interesting. I enjoyed it.
Very strange.
You enjoy it in the context that you're taking somebody somewhere.
I don't know where that came from.
I did not enjoy the politics
No.
at all.
No.
Well, you took them on, really, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
A couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Charlie, thanks for coming in.
Yes.
Really,
Thank you for coming to my lounge room.
Yeah, and clearly this will be the last time. As Wayne has indicated, you'll be coming here. You know, it's very small, isn't it? Very small area. It's not a big land.
We'll have a reunion show, probably
Yeah.
in about 12 months' time, and we'll invite everybody that's been here today.
Individually.
It'll be interesting to see how many of them turn up.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing duck egg.
Probably none. Yeah.
Would you mind sticking around,
Out of
Wayne?
the convention centre.
We thought of doing that.
Sorry
We
if I
didn't
took
quite.
over from you.
We were going to have it at the convention centre, but we didn't quite have the numbers.
Oh, well.
Do you want to hang around, Wayne?
Yes.
Yeah, is that all right? It's,
Yeah, not for long.
Charlie,
Yeah.
wonderful to see you.
I could
Thanks,
never
Charlie.
under- I
Thank
could
you so
never
much.
understand how come the bloke's always so happy?
I know, it's blessing.
Yeah.
It's lovely. He entertains us well. Our special guest,
Charlie Walsh.
Charlie. Well done, Charlie. Thank you. We'll take a
We'll
short
go to
break,
break, yep.
and we'll be back after this. Thanks, Charlie.
In that group is Glenn Rosser,
Yeah.
who I had a lot to do when I first started. He was well and truly entrenched, and then became footy manager.
Yep.
Was lucky enough to, well, you might say lucky enough to chaperone a group of players with Glenn
Yeah.
to Bali.
Oh, okay.
And Glenn was just the character, you know, that
And he turned out he was a very good administrator too, wasn't he?
fantastic administrator at the league,
Well,
Norwood, just a wonderful guy. But his infectious laugh,
Yeah.
you know, he brought people together. Really good guy just to be around, and great club man, which most people are.
Yeah.
You know, when they've been hanging around the club for some time. So I actually got the phone call from James Fantasia. It was a Sunday morning, and I
About
just
3 years ago, wasn't it? 3 or 4 years ago?
about, no, I reckon
Even more?
Just no, it'd probably be 2.
Oh, 2 years ago.
I reckon. And I'd just come out of our church service on a Sunday morning, and James rang me and said, "Look, I just need to tell you that Glenn's passed away, and heart attack.
Yeah.
only been at Wally Miller's that day, and and it was just heartbreaking.
Yes.
Absolutely heartbreaking, because he just one of the great guys at footy. And look, there's many of them in any sport
course,
as
of
we come
course.
across, and you know, you never like losing anyone, and you know, just it does really rock you a little bit. Put in perspective why these things happen, I don't know, but yeah, wonderful person.
And again, just sorry, what I was just going to say quickly, because it would be remiss of us not to talk about this just briefly, based around, you know, this discussion. But I was totally shocked when I saw that first video of Russell Ebert. I was totally shocked, honestly, and in fact I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it now, because I mean, obviously you know him well, you know, I work with him, and you've got this image of this. I think internally he's still really strong, as in,
Yes.
but this external vision of Russell
Frail.
unwell
Yes,
and moving toward, you know, something that we all don't want to happen.
No.
Did that shock you guys when you saw that video?
I mean, I thought it was just a tremendous acknowledgement of his playing,
Absolutely.
of him to become a legend.
Yeah.
He's entitled to do so. But yeah, to see him sitting in that frail look, and it's only because, well, I'm very lucky, I don't know as well as you actually, but only knowing them, but if there's anyone who's never ever gonna, you know, be
Totally.
Russell
Yeah.
Ebert, wasn't it? You know?
Totally.
Yeah, he's that. If there's anyone who's exempt, it was her.
And it's interesting that it's really interesting that he's done one interview with Cornsey, and then obviously he did that one from the Port Adelaide Footy Club. That was 4 or 5 months ago. Not once has he really spoken about himself.
Not at all.
Yeah, I see, that is unique, is it not? That's a good question for you, Michael.
Well,
I mean, that is unique.
it is amazing,
Yeah.
really, because look, he's such an encouragement, really, to everyone in the way he played the game. Obviously, 4 Magarey medals, he was just outstanding, and then to deflect everything away from him, and those people that are around him have maybe helped him on his journey.
Yeah.
It's a special quality, and he's always been that. But the initial question about you know, seeing him, it's just like, you know, thinking back, like he was bulletproof, you know, fit, healthy, like looking great. I don't know what he'd be 60, late 60s, and
Still playing tennis before he got ill.
always seen him, and then, you know, when sickness hits, it whittles you down. So very sad.
Well, we were so different. I mean, you know, as you say, he never talked about himself.
No, well, you're the exact opposite. Really, actually. That's
We'll
incredible.
come back after a break and talk about your 159 debut. But I just
I'm glad that you did that, because we really needed to lift the mood. And quite
We're
seriously,
talking about Russ. I mean,
but quite seriously, let me just say this.
Yeah.
And we're all having a bit of fun, but seriously, we love these people. And we're doing that respectfully, but we don't want to be, you know, morbid to the point of all of us wanting to run out in front of a car.
I've had the pleasure and privilege of having a little bit to do with Russ over the past couple of years.
So now it
I
becomes-
work at
becomes about
Novita,
him now.
and of course Russ is our
Yes, absolutely, ambassador.
of the Mighty River Run, which is next week. Well, not next week; it's the week after,
Yeah, right.
and it'll be the first time in 15 years that Russ hasn't been on the Mighty River Run helping us to, you know, raise money for kids that live with disability. So
Just had a call come through. Yes, 159 on test day.
yes.
Can we get Wayne to throw the break?
Absolutely.
We're getting everyone
Let's
to
do
loop,
that, yes.
Because clearly you and I have no idea. Saturday Sports Scoreboard. I'm just giving you the background.
Yep.
Saturday Sports Scoreboard.
Dave's Lounge.
Oh, well, let's not get too complicated. From Dave's Lounge, and you know, we'll be back, or whatever you want to say.
Well, it is. We're going to take a break. The Saturday Sports Lounge at Dave's background, and we'll be back to talk about other people.
I reckon we should have done that ourselves.
We'll have a crack at ourselves as well, won't we?
That didn't work well.
Facebooking live on the Radio Italia Uno Facebook page. So go to the Facebook page and you can watch and listen live. I'm David Heath, Mark Aston co-hosting with me this afternoon from my lounge room. And the reason that we've got multiple people and equipment everywhere in my lounge room is because obviously with the foot injury I haven't been able to get into the studio and do the show on a Saturday afternoon. So I said to Mark, middle of last week, you know, as a throwaway line, why don't you bring the show to me? And he has. So Ron and Karen are here running the show with all the technical stuff and the cameras.
A lot of detail.
And on the interviewing couch at the moment, we have footy legend Michael Aish, cricket legend Wayne Phillips. 150. It was at the Adelaide Oval, wasn't it? It was on your home pitch.
No.
Or was it in Perth?
You couldn't be more wrong there.
WACA.
It was the WACA.
Against
Yeah.
You
Pakistan.
couldn't have been more wrong there.
Well, I'm just trying to
You look at that
recollect.
Pakistan side.
Yeah, just hang on.
Imran Khan, Sarfraz Nawaz, Was in that crash.
Wasn't my
Yeah, none of them played.
But that was your first test in the Australian Test team for the very first time.
Correct.
At the Wacker.
Yes.
159 on debut. Were you picked as a batsman or a wicketkeeper or
Batsman,
both?
Rod Marsh.
Right.
Rod Marsh keeping.
Yep.
So yes, Rod Marsh, Dennis Early, Greg Chappell's last series for Australia.
And you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah,
Yeah, dominant. Yeah.
How did you find out? How did you find out that you'd been selected? Were you at home and you got a phone call? Or
Yes.
How does it happen?
Exactly.
You get an
That's
email
exactly
or something?
how it happened. No email, and then of course
Text.
5 years later,
Yeah.
when they picked me again, but it wasn't. It was the Wayne Phillips from Victoria,
Oh, yeah.
WN, Wayne Norman.
Did you turn up at the Oval?
Well, I rang them and said, I presume it's still the same. My ticket will be at the. You keep away from that airport. If there's anyone that could talk their way onto an aeroplane, it's you. You're not in the side. Oh, okay. It's the game's in Perth. I mean, why wouldn't it be bloody me?
That's hilarious. I love that. That is great.
You ended up playing how many Test matches?
27 test matches.
Which is 27 more than the rest of us in the room.
Yeah, it's not a lot though.
Oh, well, it is actually.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
you can
Just
see
thinking
that.
of others that have played more.
Yeah, well, there's a lot that have played less. Yeah.
Do I recall correctly, and once again you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but
Absolutely.
you played in a series against the West Indies in the Caribbean.
Yes, I did. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And you performed pretty well with the bat in that series
That's
too,
right.
didn't you?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yes, yeah, 120
That's right.
in
That was
Barbados.
for the series.
That would have been,
In Barbados.
but that would have been against Malcolm Marshall.
Hit him for six.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Garner.
Michael Holding.
Michael
Joel
Holmes
Garner.
stopped the cars out in the street. Phillips hit him for six. Oh, over the road here goes too. Yeah.
And when he played that day, he was
14
pissed.
fours and 4 sixes. Yeah. He did that
Are you a
day.
stats man?
Not too bad. Yeah, I've got a rough idea. Yeah.
The interesting thing is you wouldn't have a clue how many games Michael Hayes played.
In what sport? 14 fours and 4 sixes. Yeah.
Did you?
That was his
I was a bit of a
120 in the
cricketer.
Caribbean, wasn't it?
Yeah.
14 fours.
No.
Yeah.
Just
It
need to
was
ask.
amazing.
Do you-
Great day.
Do you reflect back? Do you often? This is
Here we go.
a semi-serious question.
Oh, cool.
Do you find yourself
Rhetorical question.
reflecting back on your career and?
He watch highlights every day.
Sorry, I was actually trying to bring this conversation back to some level of seriousness because you did indeed play 27 Test matches for your country, which, as I've already pointed out, was 27 more than any of us in the room. But do you look? Is it time past for you now, or
No.
do you look back at it sometimes?
I mean,
and
yeah,
think
I often get asked, who's the best player you saw,
Yeah.
and I did his hair this morning. So reflecting,
I think my sport show's totally off the road.
Well, yeah, the problem is
I've lost control.
you're asking
You know,
rhetorical
I'm a
questions.
professional sports broadcaster. I
Well,
wanted to bring this-
here's one. Now,
This will be interesting.
yeah, exactly. Greatest tennis player in the world as we speak, Mark Djokovic.
Djokovic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should he be allowed to play
No.
the Australian? Well,
No.
that-
Not unless he's vaccinated.
Well,
Yeah.
what's his Christian name? Novak.
No,
He's not getting.
actually, I hadn't thought of that.
thought of
No,
that.
Yeah.
that's
He's
logical.
not
Yeah,
getting
right.
Well,
that.
Michael,
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Michael,
So,
Denny
so I try and
Varnhagen.
bring something.
Sorry?
Denny Varnhagen,
Where?
Adelaide Crows AFLW player.
Oh,
She's
yes.
been in the press.
Who is he?
Hey,
I thought you
do
said Danny
do you wanna-
there.
Do you want to go to a break while we get some of these people outside together?
That was very funny.
Well, we've just
Yeah.
brought up the subject of vaccination.
Yeah.
The AFL's now stepped in and said, got to have a vax by first one by November 17,
Quite
second one by Christmas time, not only to play next season, but to actually keep training. The Crows' best defender in the AFLW team, in the AFLW team, Denny Varnhagen, who's a registered nurse,
Okay.
has chosen at this stage not to have one. She's being educated by the
And she's
club.
running out of time. She's got until the 19th.
Yeah, I mean,
What's going on there?
What-
I mean,
what-
what's going to
what do
happen?
you make
I mean,
of
it's
that
a question for everyone, really.
Mate, she doesn't play.
Yeah.
yeah.
Simple as that.
And
You
she
know,
loses her job.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, seriously,
Now,
she's
I
a
don't-
nurse.
I don't know the conspiracy theorists and what's going on, but if we want some normality back in
Yeah.
society, then and the governing body sets the rules, then you've got to live by those.
Unless you're called Novak.
Yeah, you've done
Can
that.
I-
Yeah, but Novak's a
You
different
know, I
cat
had-
anyway. Isn't he?
Can we use that now? Can we use that with our friends and family? Because I hadn't actually thought of that.
Hey, we're going to go to a break. You want to stay for a while?
No.
Okay. You want to stay for a while?
Yeah, I'm happy.
That's great. So you're not just saying that to make you happy.
No, you know.
Because when I rang you yesterday,
I want to rekindle.
yeah, I'll look that up.
That was
Because when I rang you
yeah,
yesterday, the first thing I asked you was, would you like to come over for a while? And the first thing you said was similar to Wayne, how long do you need for? Anyway, we're going to go to a break and we'll come back with more, some reasonable reasonably sensible questions from David and some hilarity from Wayne and Aisha.
Indeed.
You want to go somewhere? Yeah, sure. So we'll go to a break.
Welcome back to Saturday Sports Scoreboard. Of course, Heath, you're asking some. What do you think of Wayne Phillips, of course, and Michael's gone to the toilet.
He's already done it.
Yeah, that's fine.
so that
I was going to go.
could be a while.
Home, but
What do you think of David's questions earlier? Just trying to be serious, as in David trying to be serious, asking you questions about whether you look back on your stats and whether
unnecessary.
It's just that I know Wayne Phillips to be an intelligent and smart broadcaster himself. He's moved very comfortably from being a Test cricketer into the broadcast world. And I think to this day you still do some Christmas time, New Year stuff.
Yes,
Double
yeah,
A, don't you?
double A, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, in there regularly.
Is there anything you don't do?
Hold down a proper job.
I don't know whether you need one at the moment. Flip, I had the pleasure of working with Michael about 5 weeks ago where we did a live broadcast announcing the Michael Ace Footy Academy, and it's so exciting and I'm so pleased that it's finally happened.
Where's that base, mate? Where's that?
At Pulteney Grammar at this stage.
Brilliant.
It,
Good.
it
Good
actually
facility,
started
yeah.
this week.
Yes.
So we've had the first week with the first elite squad of 24.
Good. Do they apply to become a member of that? Do you source
there was
them? Does that allow them to get into the
No,
school?
no. We got the top 45 over the last couple of years of those kids that are in the SNFL and affiliated clubs. So we sent an invitation, and it was actually the first, which I said it was a starter. It's all boys
Yes.
at this stage,
Yes.
but we will be going early in the new year to under 13 boys and under 13 girls.
Girls, fantastic. Good.
And then we'll do a junior academy at some stage as well.
Because there's three tiers, aren't there?
Junior development and elite.
Elite, yeah.
Good.
So we'll try to do the whole spectrum.
What is the alignment with Pulteney? Is that
You
Old
went to Pulteney,
scholar,
Michael, didn't you?
yes.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
you. But what are the kids? Does that entitle them to enrol with the school or?
Special opportunities.
No, not at all. Not at all. That we went to the. We were obviously looking for somewhere to go.
Yes,
house
of course.
it.
Yes.
And I
sorry,
just
Michael.
woke up one morning and had a thought for a change and thought, why wouldn't we
Right.
ask Pulteney? So good location.
Well, we announced it on the night, didn't we?
We did,
When we did the launch.
Yes, we got the AOK probably a day or two before that.
Beforehand, yeah.
And what we want to do is invest back into the school too, into the school football, into their program. So they've just
Has Jesse come across yet?
hasn't been across yet. No, he's still in Sydney, so he'll be here at some stage.
And the other, sorry, Wayne, just very quickly. The other 3 or 4 people involved.
Yes, obviously Brian Benke
Yeah.
is strength and conditioning. So that's a Carmody on McGill Road. So the guys have one session a week there.
Good.
And then we've got Chris and Tracy Massey, which is mindset and nutrition. And we had our first Zoom this week, which was amazing.
Was it? Yeah.
Like they are
What they're delivering.
fully committed and delivering to healthy, which has been great. We've got Patrick Clark, ex-Glenelg player, who's tied up with the Kanga technology, so that's in injury prevention and the like. He's a physio. And then we've got a company called Move for Better Health. So Peter and Sam, they're physios,
Yes.
and they've come on board too. So that everyone involved have got access.
How I mean, you know, you covered all of those different aspects. none of which have got anything to do with playing footy.
No.
Yeah, isn't that just amazing what needs to be done now?
That's
to
a great
address the
point.
breaks?
That's a great
Absolutely.
point.
You know, when we're going back when
Yes.
we were playing and you were playing and that
Yeah.
nutrition it was around, but you know, did we really treat it seriously and mindset?
Yeah.
I remember lying in the gym. Lying in the gym
Mm.
when we had a group session with some psychologist. Can't remember what it was, and you're lying down. And he's trying to talk now. Just think about this and do this, and I'm thinking, what the heck?
Yeah,
are
what
you
are you
doing
talking about?
here?
Get it.
Like, and
Because
to me,
you would have played in an era, as you say, Michael, when it was just starting to
yeah.
come into the clubs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All the psychology, the dietitians, all of the non-football stuff was just starting to roll
I
in.
mean, I'm sorry, but I come into the Australian cricket team sponsored by VB and Benson and Head.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Dougie Waters was very happy.
Very loyal
Extraordinary.
supporter of the sponsor.
Oh, how things have changed.
Did the players actually get any of the sponsored
Oh yes,
products?
yes, they were very loyal, and we reciprocated.
Or Hungry Jacks or something. I mean, Hungry Jacks is like, I love it, but with respect, it's probably not.
And it's it's the best one. We were the first group to go through all the fitness things. Sit and reach, the sprint, vertical
Did
jump.
the test team have a coach in those days? Was it Bobby Simpson? Or
It just started.
Just
Probably
started.
just
Who
at
was
the end of
before
my
him?
time.
Who was before Bobby?
No,
No one.
Oh, they didn't have one. He was the
No,
first one,
no,
was he?
no.
Okay.
The captain pretty much
appointed,
did.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was in charge. He had someone to throw a few around and do. But I remember we went to the AIS to do, and we'd done the sit and reach, and we'd done the sit-ups, and we'd done the push, and we'd done the vertical leap, and we'd done the agility, we'd done that. And the last thing we had to do was the 3 kilometre time run. And so they got us all in the group. Greg Ritchie, was and the young fella from the AIS. Right, your last requirement, responsibility, the 3 kilometre time run. What you'll need to do here is you'll follow the see the white arrow here. Follow that out, run out there, out through the main gate through the AIS. Turn right, run for about 1.5 kilometres there. Come in through the gate, down through the creek, around the main stadium there. Follow the arrows again. Come back past the sprint tracks, back and finish here. Are there any questions? Greg Ritchie. Yeah. So we'll start from here and we'll run out the front, through the gate, run for about 1 kilometre up the road, down through the in through the gate there, down through the creek, around the main stadium, past the sprint tracks, and come back here and finish here. So yeah, that's right. What's your question? So why don't we just stay here?
Fair question. It was a logical question.
I heard you talking with Charlie as I came in about Neil Craig.
Oh, yeah.
And now, so Neil Craig comes to Nord 1990, I think it was, and brought a whole new level of professionalism there.
There was some doubt, by the way, just very quickly. There was some doubt from some sections of the media about what quality he brought.
Yeah, what it was going to
It
be.
was really interesting. Sorry, Mike.
So Neil Craig comes and just another level of intensity, very intense. So we then, those that were struggling with injuries and whatever, would go to the, it was at Kidman Park, the Sports Institute.
Yeah,
Sassy.
Yeah,
Sassy was it, yeah. So we
high
go
school.
there and we do some extra work, and I remember going there every Monday morning and we do some rowing, and then we get on the treadmill and we do 3-minute interval, lots of interval training, and you've got the, I'm talking about headspace, so you've got the big monitor there, and I would purposely not look at the monitor because I'm busting my ball up, and I'm thinking, surely that's 3 minutes. I look up, it's at 1:20, and I'm thinking,
It's never as much as you think.
how long have I got to go? But I distinctly remember him said, right, hop off. I'm actually going to now just crank this up to how they run marathons. So then I just got on.
Felt the leg.
And ran for, I don't know, maybe a minute, and I'm thinking I'm gassed.
Yeah.
I'm gassed. And just talking about that, a gentleman gave me a USB stick to watch a couple of things, and one of them was this Kenyan marathon runner. He's well known. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
A BB or someone like that?
Well, it's
I don't know,
close enough.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But they set up a trial because no one had ever got on 2 hours before.
Yes.
So they set up a trial in somewhere overseas where he had runners running with him so he could get under the
Pacemaking.
Yeah, the two they had everything
Oh
set up.
yeah, I remember that.
A phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
That's when he
what
won.
they
That's
did.
when he broke the world record. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, he went under 2 hours.
Well,
So
under 2 hours,
It,
yeah.
wasn't.
Broke
It
the
wasn't
time.
actually a
No.
sanctioned meet.
No, I remember.
42
That was 2 or 3 years. I remember that.
But
yeah.
it was 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
ago. But I watched that and was fascinated. And look, he looked like he was about 60 when he was running that. Now, maybe that's just the tough life that he
It's
led or
incredible.
whatever. But incredible.
But the, I mean, that just how they, but some of the stories from those, you know, the bloke who got on the train, and the trainer, yeah, he ran with him so far and then disappeared, jumped on the train, and ran in, you know, fresh as a daisy. How
come
they
you look
did.
so good?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. What's that ticket in your hand?
Yeah, we got a good run of the lights. Yeah.
Hey, Michael, and probably Wayne as well, because this would be something you'd be talking on Double A with. I presume they spoke about it this morning. Did you occasionally in?
I did for a little bit.
So, do you hear a couple of callers really worried about the quality of the SANFL, the fact that we're losing so many places?
Just thinking the same thing I was just about to ask Mike.
And then
Yeah.
what the other one they were talking very strongly about was the rule. Yeah,
Yeah.
stand.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
rule.
stand. Yeah.
I didn't quite
Just
understand.
takes a player
I didn't
out of the game,
understand,
does it?
but I didn't quite understand why that is such a negative thing to introduce. What is the reason
I
it being
don't
so
know.
negative?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Look,
yes.
you're talking standing the mark.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
mark. Yeah,
I
stand.
actually don't mind it.
Okay.
So,
Good,
so
thank you.
Well, they were horrified.
Yes.
They were saying
Yeah.
the SANFL should
Just
never
bent
ever
over.
agree.
Well,
yeah.
very
well,
softened their stance.
Yeah.
Sample stance. Yeah.
look at the AFL. I think it does open the game up quite a bit, and you know, like particularly when you're stationary and you got someone running past, you're going to give it, you can kick over the line. So I don't mind that rule at all. I'm not too fond of some of the other rules that they make.
But is that unfair that it takes that player out of the game completely?
You mean the guy on the mark?
Yes, he's not allowed to move
Well,
at all.
does it take
completely?
it?
Yeah.
Well, it does take it.
Opposition
out
have
of
got
it.
18 players, and that team's got 17
Yeah.
because he is not
For that
allowed.
period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Sorry.
Welcomed by the Crows and the Power, of course, that rule change,
They-
because
they
their
have players,
teams in
yeah,
the
teams are
SANFL
involved
will
in it.
now be playing closer
See,
to
there's
the
politics
AFL
there.
game. Yeah.
See, there's politics
Yeah, and
involved.
they probably would have lobbied the SANFL, I would have imagined,
There's
the Crows and the
politics.
Power for that rule change.
So just getting back to that original question about the SANFL,
Yeah.
how concerned are you guys about the quality of the SANFL deteriorating really quickly now, given that you guys normally
lost
lost
about 10 or
you
11.
lost 10 or 11 players.
Yeah.
And this is players, Wayne, going to country clubs where
Yeah, just-
they're getting a job, for example, in a real estate firm, and they're getting paid 120 grand for getting that job, and then playing for the local team. Who's not going to want to do that?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
attractive, isn't it?
The SANFL salary cap's down to $210,000. Yeah, as a result of COVID. I mean, that's we have to make that point.
It's made that.
Paul Piopolo
Yes.
is going off to play at a country or a metro
Yeah.
club. Is he going to get paid more?
oh,
And
Yes.
he'll train less,
Yes.
so he's got more
Yeah.
time to himself.
Because
See,
the
that's
other
the
point
other
that was
thing.
made was that the SANFL players need to front up to their club probably about 4 times a week
Well, that's full time.
for recovery and training
Yes,
and
yeah.
meetings.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Just have our
you
own
know,
space.
a player like using Paul Piopolo as the example, he probably only needs to turn up once to his new club for a training session on Thursday night, and he'll probably get paid more.
yeah. No question that they'll probably get paid more. They'll do less, but I really think that for those guys, like you had Grigg,
Yeah,
Yeah, well, he's
you
a
had
good example.
McKenzie,
Yeah.
you had
Yeah, good kid.
Loblo.
Piopolo, yeah.
Those guys in particular, I think what they're finding is that the time, not only, yes, you're playing, you're training, your meetings, and they'd be getting home at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how many-
Full-time job.
I don't know how many meetings a week that you'd actually do it, but they got to the state, and these are guys that have been there and done that for a while,
Yeah,
and getting paid probably nowhere near what they would have been getting.
Well, how would they be splitting up the 210 amongst a full group of players? What each SANFL club would have 35, 40 players on their books?
Yeah, don't. You know, they do it on, I guess, they might have some bonuses in there, but I don't think
Yeah.
they can actually do that now. They'd probably have it on how long they've been at the club.
Yeah.
They'd have to do it at that. Juniors will get this much, and then
Yeah.
those that have played maybe 50 to 100 might get this much. And,
Yep.
so on that. The real good players that they bring in will probably get
30?
A bit more. Oh,
For a season?
there wouldn't be too many getting 30.
Okay.
There
Yeah.
wouldn't be too many because
And of course, a lot of them last year, with the really interrupted season because of COVID, a lot of the
they
clubs
play for nothing.
they play for nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Well, you go back to '86, Norwood were in that premiership by a point. You know, that worst umpiring decision of all time against
78, wasn't
It was 78. that one,
78.
Yeah.
It's affected
Yeah,
August.
yeah, they still, Johnny Wynn, the only thing that could have been better than that is if we had won by half a point.
Well,
There it is, they won an incredible game by half a point. 21 goals for, 67 to 21 goals, 3.5, 66 and a half.
Can we take Michael back to that original question?
Oh,
What
Sure, do whatever you want.
are you,
I'm about
are
to
you
leave.
worried about the future of the SANFL?
yeah, I think yes. That now there'll be a lot of young talent come through, which is a good thing, and they'll get their opportunity maybe a bit sooner than they would normally would.
Yeah.
Now, how long that's going to take before the monetary comes back into it? Bottom line is, I won't be held to these stats, but I think the revenue from Adelaide Oval when things were going great and whatever was like 12 million. Now it's down to 4.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so what do? You've got to cut
Yeah.
costs.
And we're probably looking, realistically, we're probably looking at another impacted season next year before the world, some level of normality returns, perhaps in 2023. Yeah.
Well, I don't think they want to keep it. Hopefully, this year or next year, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because as we say, those guys will go to country clubs, and I know the SNFL are trying to crack down on those clubs. But like my lad plays for Blackwood, and like they come against Harndorf that has half a crow side nearly.
Is it?
Yeah.
You know, but they've got a lot of homegrown players as well.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't attract any points, but they're very good.
But it's going to be a much more attractive proposition. The lad that won the 2 McGarrys at Norwood, who's also now retired,
Mitch Grigg.
Mitch Grigg. He's just had a baby too, hasn't
Correct.
he? So it's going to be a much
Interesting.
more well.
Was that connected to the McGarry medal at all?
Yeah.
It's going to
Well, he's
with
got
a
a
young
local.
family, and he's a local, and he'll get a reasonable match fee to play.
Yes.
He might only have to turn up once a week. It's going to be a lot more of an attractive proposition.
Well, again, he's been there, done that, and now he's decided that young family, they've got to come first.
And his mates hear about it, and
Yeah.
they start putting their
Yeah.
nose out, and there's a few fingers, and but look, my concern is for Sandford. I mean, is it having an impact of, you'll have Joel Cross moves away from out of from
correct.
the game, a tremendous player, did so very well. Is he going to go? Well, you're just losing that skill, that skill, the talent, knowledge, and that opportunity to pass on those to the young ones coming through. Now gone.
We need to go to a break.
Yeah, but hang on, we'll get Michael to do it.
Okay.
Because
Good luck.
Well, you're kidding me, aren't you?
No, that's all right.
Good luck.
Look,
Pretty easy.
We're not trying to split an atom.
No.
So let's just concentrate. So it's a Saturday sports scoreboard.
Pretty easy.
And it's
Dave's lounge room.
Yeah, Dave's lounge room.
Yeah.
I might get you to just go through some sort of, some unusual sort of geonomical type figures, as you throw, if that's okay.
Geonomical.
I don't even know what you're talking
Not
about.
actually sure that's a word.
All right, just throw
Know that.
We're
just throw to the break.
currently in Dave's lounge rooms with a quality of
There's the camera.
stars,
Yeah.
mainly me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about Flipper. Forget Asen, forget Dave.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to coming back. How long? Give us a couple of minutes.